Welcome to this 12th documentary, and I think this will be rather short because I'm trying to illustrate some special peculiarities in my road to playing the piano. These documentaries are not me learning to play the piano. For those of you who have not attended any of these videos before, I can say that I'm regaining my ability to play the piano, and the peculiar thing is that these abilities were never really there. They were crushed before they could unfold when I was around 18, but now they're coming back, and they're coming back in a way that I have to follow or listen to. I can't decide how to do it. The normal way is to practice so that you can hit all the right notes at the right time. In my case, it's different because what's coming out now is an increased ability to control the sound. And in this brief video here, I will give a few examples and maybe only play one part of one word, or the two parts of two words or something like that. It's tempting to be philosophical here. I will be very brief and just say that I'm quite sure that it's important for every one of us that we follow the road that is our road, instead of trying to do what the general opinion thinks we should do. Well, there can be a lot of sense in listening to other people and to experience and something like that, but sometimes you have to follow a path where it's only you who can decide what's actually happening. And I'm going against everything I have learned and known about how to regain abilities to play the piano by focusing on being away from the piano. That's actually where the school is. When I sit down at the piano, I have been through a lot of processes in my daily life, and this has an influence on the sound. And the sound has an influence on the movement of the fingers. And this time it's like I would show you some flowers in my garden, or what we could call it. And to be as exact as I can, I'm on the way to be able to, not that my fingers are creating the sound, but that the sound is moving my fingers. And this means that in the music there is an energy which actually can be transformed to what you are doing. And when I play now some examples here, this time it's actually even less important that I hit the right notes, because I want to make an illustration of the point. And I can say also that my breakthrough is just below the surface. It's not very far away. And I can try to just make a very few examples of the difference in sound. And some of the places, some of the passages in music I talked about already in the first or second of these documentations, saying that I have problem with those because there was some beauty here that somehow I was not allowed to play. For instance, in the Mozart G major sonata, after the first repetition mark, it says something like this. And I was not able to play that because there's a passage which is simply too beautiful to be able to. So I couldn't play it the way I wanted to, and when I can't play it the way I want to, then I can't play it, which is in some ways strange, and in another way quite liberating, because I don't want to be able to play things in a way that I don't want to, if that makes any sense. But normally, earlier I could play, for instance, like this. But now these, I can control them so that they sound almost like velvet. Once more. The reason I play wrong notes is because I'm so excited that I wake up all the inside resistance, which is what I'm trying to come through in order to get the sound right. Never mind. Another example. You all know the revolution study. Which you can play like I did here, but if you let the sound create the note, if you let the sound move the fingers, then it's not like this, but it's as if this row of notes are coming out of the first sounds, like the tail of a meteor or a New Year rocket. Well, you can see I can't play it yet, but the energy is there. And I can hear that my ability to do is just below the surface. Seen from a normal point of view, I can't hit the right notes. The same goes with another example, which I've just recently taken up. Again, some years ago I tried to play, or I played through most of the first movement of the Scriabin first piano sonata. And there's some wonderful sounds here made by the only 20-year-old Alexander Scriabin. And well, it begins, now I just play almost what it says here. You can hear I can't play the notes, but if I listen to the sound, then the sound can carry more than I can follow intellectually, but I can follow it with my instincts. Didn't go well. once again. So when I play, I'm totally ignorant. But it's not called ignorant. I'm neglecting the fact that I'm not. Well, maybe I am a bit ignorant in some way, but I'm neglecting. I'm denying to be disturbed that I can't hit the right notes, because the sound is getting better and better. And I'm studying these different pieces where you can hear just brief examples where the sound has really changed. And for instance, in this F major ballad, this beautiful entrance to it now has a different sound. Same goes for the A flat ballad. So that is just a few illustrations of works I have played over and over again, and I will now play a little bit more of the Mozart G major sonata, because here the sound is getting the music transparent in a way that I haven't heard before, so that each time I'm able to enjoy just the single touch. Each time it makes me linger at that tone, that note, so that the sound decides the tempo. It's not I who decide the tempo. And yes, as I have experienced quite a few times, I'm getting nervous when I do these videos, because I realize that I might be convincing for some, and for some I might not be convincing at all. And my problem is that I don't care, but still I would like to show it the best way I can, so that any kind of nervousness on my part, or all these disturbances I have talked about earlier on in earlier videos, they are here today, all in full bloom. So I am playing against some kind of tsunami of you are not allowed to do this. But I do it anyway. And maybe some of these small examples, the Chopin study and the Scriabin sonata, I will maybe return to those. But I can actually play them so that you can hear that it's the sound that is carrying what is happening. Let me play just a little bit of this Mozart sonata. It's exceptionally violent today, but I explained that earlier in earlier videos. I won't explain it again, but I will carry on, make a few illustrations. I have tried several times to illustrate the first Chopin study in C major. And now where I feel that this strange tension that I'm not allowed to do what I do is increasing, then I deliberately choose very difficult pieces to play, because I won't accept that. So this C major study, I almost always hear it played where it's a difficult piece for the right hand. I can hit some of them, but if you emphasize the left hand, then the sound grows out of the left hand, and the sound of the right hand becomes much more transparent. And I know this is a strange way to do it, because I should play these arpeggios over and over and over and over again, but that won't help me a bit. What helps me is that the sound is changing. principles in what I'm trying to do, and I can feel, well, that's a strange kind of sensitivity I have, and I better tell about it so that everything is honest. This is research, is how things are done. That I'm supposed to be embarrassed that I can't hit the right notes, but on the contrary, I am proud that I'm able to create a greater and greater sound, and the right notes will eventually be there. Also, I can create just a little bit. Let's see, where did I hide it? Here it is, the Rachmaninoff B major prelude, which I'm trying to go on to play the entire thing, but I have to be able to again make all these arpeggios emerge from the sound instead of trying to move my fingers in order to create the sound. So still, I don't care if I hit the right notes, but you can see and hear that there's a progress in the size, the volume of the sound, and in the overtones richness. Another of my favorite examples is the Liszt Sonata, and here I will try to illustrate a special point. In the part of the Liszt Sonata which I'm playing again, in order to make a probe, see how far how I got, there is this wonderful theme. And when I play with all the sound I can play with, this is not just a beautiful theme, but this is the theme that we have all been waiting for all the time. And that's a completely different thing. And we hear in the beginning of the sonata, left hand, and it's strange to see that these can, but it's the same. And I've been really wanting to listen to Liszt, if that was possible to go 150 years back, because these chords, they have at the top but underneath there are these huge masses of sound, And I'm quite sure that Liszt had a little finger which were able to shout over all the other fingers to simply dominate. And I'm trying to balance this a bit. And again, now I play this despite the resistance, and despite that I've played it a lot of times before, but because if I succeed in doing what I will try to illustrate, let me see how to do this like this, then you'll be able to hear something completely different. I played this way for the first time a couple of days ago, and suddenly it was a completely new sonata. And also these octaves, which I begin this piece right there. I can't play them in the right tempo, and so I won't do that now. But gradually I can feel what kind of power it must have contained when Liszt played them, so that you don't just play 4 different notes, but you have all your power at your disposal in those 4 fingers. that if you, I'm getting my point, you can hear that the progress is coming from the inside and not as a result of better ability to hit the right notes. There's something I would like to illustrate also, and I think then I would maybe end this. No, there's one thing more I'd like to play, just a little bit of. I've dabbed a bit with César Franck prelude, chorale, and fugue, and again, this is the sound that is carrying my fingers, and not the other way around. Well, apparently, no problem. There's a problem. As you see, it won't succeed today, but I'm sure you can hear the idea that the sound is carrying, and when I'm nervous I can't do it, but I can illustrate the point. Also in the chorale there's this incredible transition here. This change in key. And the following short passage I'll play a bit of, and when I can do it, and I'll try to do it because I can. This sounds like the special type of organ that César Franck used. He was organist in a church where they had a cavaille col organ, which has a flute-like velvet sound in comparing to the more brassy Silbermann organ and from the Bach's time. And this special organ quality, I think I can hear in this composition here. wedding of on Trollhagen, which I will just finish to this day with this piece. There's this center slow section. Do we have time for that? Mm-hmm. And as I play it and the sound increases, and my ability to create these different nuances in sound are more specific. I can hear so many nuances in this music, and I'm longing to get them out there in my head, and some of them are really now clear. For instance, you have this duet here. And when it comes back, there's this extra note on. If you play that right, it's like music in three different levels, where this single note gives some kind of memory or recollection of wonderful times past, but still there in the memory of this wedding. think this was all for this time. Now, listen to this twice. Men altså det, jeg skal sige, det er ligesom i det øjeblik, hvor man er omhyggelig med den ene tone, så fortæller den, hvor den næste tone skal være, ikke? Og det her er i virkeligheden for svært, Bach. Altså, fordi det er vanvittigt stort at spille Bach. Ligesom med Mozart. Altså, at det indeholder så meget, så det kan man næsten ikke. Jeg kan også lige give et eksempel med det her C-dur-produktum igen, ikke? Som nu har fået en ny engleklang, han har. Det bliver bedre og bedre, ikke? Det er sådan en fornøjelse, altså. Og så ved jeg jo, at det kan blive endnu bedre. Det her, det er kun, nu ligger det lige under overfladen, ikke?